Canadian media is prevented from reporting on this story, and most of the US media is controlled by three-letter agencies and the globalist elite. So Trudeau's victim's father spoke to the Buffalo Chronicle to reveal that she was much younger at the time of their relationship than was first thought. Some in the public discourse pegged the young girl at 17 years old. According to her father, this is inaccurate. She was much, much younger than that, the Canadian businessman told the Chronicle. He was not a party to the $2.25 million mutual non-disclosure, non-disparagement agreement that his daughter signed in exchange for her continued silence on October the 9th, 2008. The terms of that agreement prevent both the accuser and Trudeau from acknowledging any aspect of that relationship without triggering a 6 to 7 figure liquidated damages clause. That penalty starts at $500,000 and scales up, depending on the magnitude of the breach. Trudeau and the underage girl engaged in a long affair on and off campus, while Trudeau taught drama and French at West Point Grey Academy. Trudeau was discovered by the girl's father at their family home, which prompted private demands to school administrators that he be removed from his position immediately. There was a small settlement at the time, the girl's father told the Chronicle, but declined to provide details. The relationship was discovered several months after Pierre Trudeau's death. He died on September the 28th and was eulogized by his son on October the 3rd, an event that made the younger Trudeau a rising political star around whom Liberal Canada would swoon. His students were particularly fawning, friends say. At the time, the family was told that the school's standard employment agreement included confidentiality terms that would be binding on Trudeau after his departure. As a matter of policy, the school does not comment on personnel matters. Trudeau's friends at the time said that the typically outgoing and exuberant young man who loved dressing in costume was suffering through a bout of depression following his father's death in 2000 and his brother's death in 1997. They claimed that anything improper was likely a result of his fragile emotional state at the time, not because of any nefarious character trait. He was lonely and depressed for months, one friend told the Chronicle. At the time, Canada's age of consent was 14 years old. In 2008, Prime Minister Stephen Harper had that law changed, raising the age to 16 where the law sits today. Still, Canada outlaws sex between adults and people younger than 18 when the adult is in a position of responsibility for the well-being of that child. Trudeau's behaviour would have been illegal at the time, which is all very interesting in light of recent revelations by Kyle Kemper, Justin Trudeau's half-brother, who has revealed that the Canadian Prime Minister does not write his own speeches or tweets, but instead performs scripts written for him by his globalist overlords. Many of us have talked about and reported on how Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum are penetrating governments and corrupting world leaders. Ready for some validation you can share around? If you're Canadian, take a seat. Your Prime Minister's own brother is about to explain why Justin Trudeau is so determined to tarnish the Canadian nation. And if you're from America or another country, pull up a chair and have a listen. This is a signature lesson in how the globalist elite attempt to destroy countries from the inside. Asked why Trudeau is so determined to tarnish the Canadian nation, Trudeau's brother said that he is merely a puppet for the New World Order and takes orders directly from groups such as the Council on Foreign Relations and Bilderberg, which are all controlled by the World Economic Forum.
What do you think your brother's reasoning is to be doing this to the Canadian people and tarnishing our cultural ways and who we are as Canadians? What is the drive that is his reasoning for all of this? What do you
right
think?
Well, I mean, I'm going to start by saying, like, Justin is, the leader of the Liberal Party, and everything that's coming out of his mouth right now is written. All of his tweets are being produced by a team. All of his statements, he is the face and the lead spokesperson for the Canadian government, but the policy and the initiatives that are driving it and that are driving his this narrative that he continues to push, which in my opinion is decidedly anti-Canadian and anti-freedom, is like coming down from the higher ups, from groups like the World Economic Forum, like the Council on Foreign Relations, like Bilderberg, etc. And they recognize we need to have these strong kind of agents within governments. And I think one of the things we've seen is all around the world we have, I'll be frank, weak leaders. Who are able to act as kind of spokespeople
Trudeau's brother also declared that Justin's disastrous and anti-freedom policies do not represent his true self. In short, he's being controlled by the global elites. Kyle Kemper is not a nobody. Not only is he Justin Trudeau's half-brother and the son of Margaret Trudeau, but he has a business portfolio. He is the founder and chief executive officer of Swiss Key, and previously an executive director and strategic advisor at the Chamber of Digital Commerce Canada. He finished his BCom marketing business from Dalhousie University. So now you know some real truth about Justin Trudeau, not theory or speculation from afar, the truth and nothing but the truth from his own brother's mouth. Justin is a tool of the global elite. He does not, nor has he ever, served Canada. And it should come as no surprise. Klaus Schwab is on the record boasting about how the WEF has penetrated cabinets and governments across the world. And according to Schwab, Canada was the first country to fall under his control.
That we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
But it gets even worse. As though the allegations levelled at Trudeau by the underage girl's father aren't bad enough, the mainstream media also colluded to cover up a paedophilia scandal involving Justin Trudeau's best friend at the time. Christopher Charles Ingvaldson, a teacher at West Grey Point Academy who also went to college with Trudeau, was found guilty of child pornography charges after being caught directing an international paedophile ring. Ingvaldson entered guilty pleas in BC Provincial Court in Vancouver to accessing child pornography and possession of child porn. He was also initially charged with 2 counts of importing and distributing child pornography. At the time he was charged, Royal Canadian Mounted Police said that 11 members of the paedophile ring in 3 countries, Canada, Australia and the UK, had also been arrested and charged. Justin Trudeau and Ingvaldson have been closely linked since their days as roommates at college, and after completing their teaching degrees, they both received job offers from West Point Grey Academy. Ingvaldson announced his desire to be Liberal MP candidate in the district of Vancouver Kingsway, and developed a social media page announcing his plans to run. However, his arrest and subsequent imprisonment on child porn and paedophilia charges have ended any chance Ingvaldson had of entering politics, even in Trudeau's Liberal Canada. The revelation that Justin Trudeau's close friend is a paedophile has come as no surprise to Canadians who have been watching the Liberal Prime Minister closely. They point out that Trudeau has many uncomfortable ties to paedophilia. Let's take a look at the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation, named after Justin's father. It claims to support creative and critical thinkers who make meaningful contributions to critical social issues. But according to an FBI document released by WikiLeaks, the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation has a history of using blatant paedophile symbols. A case in point is this image taken from the 2015-16 annual report of the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation. The use of this symbol, though, seems an odd choice for the foundation given what the FBI document says regarding its true meaning. This possible link to institutionalized paedophilia does offer an alternative explanation for some mysterious occurrences that occurred around Trudeau and his disgraced friends earlier in their lives. As mentioned earlier, before Justin followed his father's footsteps into politics, he was a teacher at West Point Grey Academy, an elite K-12 school, a school that shockingly had 2 separate sets of parents shot dead during the time he was teaching. Officials called the killings gangland murders at the time. Keep in mind, this gangland violence was apparently occurring to parents sending their children to an incredibly expensive private Canadian prep school. The murders also happened to parents with no previous criminal records,